Hoffman. We thought we'd seen the last of him last year, but he's back, and he'd like to go out this year with a gold.
First place qualifier. Matt's definitely. Oh!
I don't believe it! I cannot believe that just happened. He just threw a no-handed 900.
What in the world? I cannot believe we just saw that. No one in the stadium can believe what they just witnessed.
It's like a dream run.
Everybody picture it. Here we go.
The moment for me was disbelief. I mean, it's something I had been trying for probably 5 years prior to that, off and on, and I had thought about doing it even 5 years prior to ever trying it. So, I mean, it's something that I had wanted to do for a long time, and at one point kind of given up on because I thought, you know, I've tried everything I can. I've tried to make it in the best of circumstances, and I didn't. I actually broke a rib the one time that I really tried to make it, and so to ride away from it, it was just more like, that didn't really happen. You know, I didn't do that. Did I really do that? And when I looked up at the crowd and all my friends, that's when I realized that it did happen. So the whole time riding across the wall, it was like, you didn't really do that, that didn't happen. And then I looked up and it was like, wow, it's real. It actually worked. So for me, it meant a lot more than just a trick. You know, it was more like, I think it was more representation of what I had come through in skateboarding. And some kids, like, that was their first introduction to skating, was seeing that. And so I think they like that dedication to something, and they like the passion, and identified with it in a way that maybe they didn't identify with mainstream sports or with team sports. It was more like, this is for me, it was my personal mission, and it played out in front of a much larger crowd than I ever expected. But you know, the fact that you have this is what you really want to accomplish, and it's all on you. It's not a matter of how well your team does. It's not a matter of, you know, beating the fastest time, so to speak. It's just more like, this is what you set out to do, and you're going to accomplish it against all odds. And I think that resonates with all our sports. You know, they're all very creative and individual based, and it's all about our own challenges, but a collective effort to continue evolving.
No-handed 900, it kind of popped into my head a couple months before the X Games, and then it just wouldn't pop out of my head. So it was like, I'd be walking around with the family, and I'd just like, they'd see me kind of twitching and kind of shaking, and I'd be like, oh sorry, I had to just do no-hand 900, you know. And so it just I couldn't shake it out of my head. So then went to the games, and I kind of, you know, I don't like to jinx myself, so I never told anybody I was going to do it, but I knew it was in my head, and I was getting up on the vert ramp, and I looked down, I saw my wife was there for motivation, and our 3-year-old daughter, I think she was about 3 years old at the time, Gianna, and I saw her, and I was like, all right, that'll be perfect motivation to do this. But at the same time, I started thinking about, I'm a father now, I need to be responsible. So I was like, JC, you know what's in my head, and you know I could go down, and if I go down, I'm not getting back up. But just know that I'll be taken care of, and you just walk away with Gianna so she didn't have to see Daddy on the flat bottom, you know? And so then I was like, that's kind of a weird conversation, but I'm being responsible, you know? Like, I think my second run, I did a no-hander just to kind of warm up and kind of look at my height and see if it was about the height I needed to spin, and then popped the 9, and then took my hands off, and what was kind of rad about it was that I remember popping the lip too hard and thinking, oh, I'm gonna over-rotate this, but then I took my hands off, and then it slowed me down. So then I just widened my hands a little bit, and I was like, wow, I can control my spin better. So I just like slowed my spin down and with my hands off, and because I did a no-handed one, I think that was why I was able to pull it. I kind of rode that contest just to do that, because I love the stage that the X Games sets. Is just, it really pulls everything out of you. You want to give everything you have, and so I wanted to use the X Games forward just to see if I had this trick in me. And then once I did that trick, I thought, you know, I think I'm done competing, and that was my last contest.